2,000 mile review of the CRF300L Rally that I have. And I wanted to give you, I'll do this on the road while I'm traveling, but I wanted to give a little brief, I wanted to give a, the reasons why I chose this machine and why I think it's right for me. So let's go down the road and check it out. So this is a good view of my Rally and kind of how I have it set up. You can see I've done a few mods. I've changed out the tires, and I'll talk about that. You can also see the windshield extension, and you can see the hand guards and the levers that I've replaced. I even replaced the foot pegs, but that was just kind of a personal preference. But we will talk about more as we go down the road. Okay. Now this is one of my favorite roads to go down. It's got huge mud puddles, when they are filled with water. I don't know how it's going to be today. But first of all, I wanted to talk about, why do you choose, or why did I choose this motorcycle? Well, first of all, I look at motorcycles, cars, trucks as tools. I tried to get, or what I tried to do was to get a motorcycle that was as close to exactly what I wanted right out of the box. My goal was I wanted to ride roads like this. I wanted to be able to travel from my home to roads like this with these huge mud puddles. Be able to keep up with traffic comfortably, and then be able to, ride these unimproved roads because they're fun. I live in an area that is mountainous with a lot of forest, a lot of log roads. There's a lot of logging industry here, and these roads are primarily made for them, for log trucks and the logging industry. But it gives everybody access to these, to be able to explore the forest in here. So, I chose this because, it's, the Rally, the 300L, because it's able to do these things that I wanted it to do, almost straight out of the box. I can travel 65, 70 miles an hour very comfortably. I've had it up to 80 miles an hour. And it'll travel like right here on this road. If you had the stock tires, it would be fine. It would go right through all, travel down this road. There's very little loose gravel, and it would be fine. So one thing that I did do to it was I changed out the tires because I washed out with the stock tires traveling down another road. And I also got stuck in the mud. Oh, that's a big mess down there. And that wasn't any fun. So I swapped out the tires, and when I kind of washed out there, I also broke my clutch lever. It broke in, part of it broke off, and I actually liked it shorter. So what I ended up doing is putting on, these Tusk hand guards, and I got some very inexpensive levers from eBay, and I think they only cost $25 or something like that, but they're awesome. If you can see right here, I can two finger, have clutch control, while I'm traveling. And the Honda 300L, a lot of the newer Hondas have this, it's called a slipper clutch, And it's just the easiest thing in the world. And that's another reason why I just love this bike, is because of that. You know, it's the clutch control is just like a dream. And then when you put on these more off-roady tires, I put Tusk Dsport tires on, and they're supposed to be 2080 tires, and I actually kind of feel like they should have been really kind of what 50/50 should be. But, you know, they do fine on the road. They do fine. You know, I think maybe there's a little bit more vibration, but if you put more off-roady tires, you know, on a motorcycle, you're going to have a little bit of vibration. But anyway, now I'm able to cruise through anything, you know, and I don't have any problems at all. I have plenty of traction, and I feel very more confident, you know, going down the road. Now, one thing about that it really impressed me about this 300L is the maintenance. The maintenance is ridiculously good. I mean, okay, I had to change the oil and the filter after the first 600-mile break-in period. You know, that's all fine. But then after that, my next oil change is in 8,000 miles. I mean, that's better than my truck. I could probably get away with 8,000 miles in it too, because I put full synthetic oil in it, but, you know, it's just amazing for a motorcycle like this. Now, for me, it has plenty of power. You know, it gets me down the road. I mean, I don't use this. I'm not in a race. I'm not trying to race anybody. But I'll tell you what, I was riding with a group of dual sport guys, and we took a trip. We took a 160-mile trip to the coast. And it was raining the whole entire time. And they were riding everything, you know, from Husqvarnas to KLR 650s to, you know, there was a guy with a Tenere, and, you know, I was right in the middle of the pack, keeping up with everybody, you know, and I'd say that it helped improve my riding skills a little bit, trying to, you know, but it was because of my riding skills and not the ability of the motorcycle. You know, it kept up just fine. You know, that was very impressive. Now, you will hear many people, you know, well, first of all, many people talk about the tires and that they suck. And if you're driving on, if you spend all your time riding on the road and went on some really simple, very simple dirt roads, you know, to check things out, they'd be fine. But for my purposes, they didn't suit it. But the other thing people talk about is the soft suspension. And yeah, it is soft. You know, I did a little bit of research because I was kind of curious why the Honda engineers would put this soft suspension on there. And I think their mindset was, you know, when you're traveling and you're hitting these roads, it'll just sort of sink down in it and give you better traction. A stiffer suspension, you'd have a tendency to kind of bounce over the top of it, and you might lose control. You might lose traction on the ground. Which, you know, I think if you ride really hard, if you're used to a stiffer suspension, and you're going to jump things and you're going to ride it hard, I could understand, you know, spending. I think you have to spend at least probably $600 for a new rear shock. You know, I don't know, I might do it sometime. I just don't feel the need for it. You know, I kind of like it. It really is kind of a nice ride. Driving down a road like this with all these bumps, it's just sort of soaking them all up, and it's not bothering me. You know, I just feel like it's kind of nice. But that's just me, and it's a personal preference. I don't think you have to do anything. You don't have to. Look at this beautiful little spot. You know, you don't have to change the shock out. Even though people say, oh, you got to do this. Well, I don't think you have to. Especially if you're just going to be cruising around the woods. You know, kind of sightseeing. I use this as a small adventure bike. So why would I choose this over something bigger? I mean, there's all sorts of adventure bikes, and let's say even a Tenere 700 or something like that. I think those are really nice bikes. Yamaha makes great bikes, no doubt about it. And I think those are really nice. But it is a lot heavier. It's a heavier motorcycle. And quite frankly, I don't mind, going down the road. I could take a highway trip, hundreds of miles on this thing, and I would be just fine. I'd have to get off of it every so often just to give my rear a rest. But I mean, I took a Honda 350 one time, one of the old ones. I think it was a CB 350 or CL 350. I had both of them. I can't remember which one it was. But I rode one from Phoenix, Arizona all the way to Sacramento when I was in the Air Force. I mean, I kind of like smaller motorcycles anyway. I have had a, Kawasaki 600, ZL 600. It was a lot of fun, but, I tend to super fast bikes. Every once in a while I feel like I got to ride them fast, so. Oops. But here was my philosophy: is what do I want to pick up if it did fall down? Do I want to pick up a 300-pound motorcycle or a 450-pound motorcycle, or one of the freaking 600-pound monsters? I mean, come on! You could turn anything into a dirt bike. I saw somebody turn an old Gullwing into a scrambler, with off-road tires and all. So they had it for sale. It's kind of like, to me, it's like, what the hell? Why would you do that? It just makes no sense to me. And it kind of doesn't make any sense to me to not start off closer to what you're trying to get, what your goal is. I mean, the guy that had the Husqvarna on our trip, that bike it handled out in the dirt beautifully. It's got traction control, it's light and nimble. He probably had a 500 or something like that. I mean, it's a beautiful bike, but he's got to adjust the valves every year, and he's got to spend all his time on the maintenance. And plus, it doesn't have the range. I mean, this has probably about 220 mile range. I figured it out. On the trip that I took to the coast, I got 62 miles to the gallon. I have a 3.4 gallon tank. That equals about a 220 mile range. If you got a 2-gallon gas tank and you're only getting 40 miles to the gallon, come on. Your range is, 80 miles, okay? And so, I saw this video of this guy who had a Husqvarna in the background. I mean, yeah, you could put a bigger gas tank on it and go further, or, you would be fine. But this guy with the beard, he's sitting there chewing on some snacks, and he goes, "Hey, got a new bike. It's got a 70-mile range. I went 70 miles. Good thing I've got weed and snacks." And he's sitting there munching on his whatever he was eating. It's kind of like, man, I don't want to, I have to carry some extra gas or replace the gas tank on it to get the range that I wanted. And for me, it's just not quite what I need. So let's take a look here. I'm following my TomTom, try to find the right route through the forest. I picked it up off of eBay for, I think, $170. It works pretty good, not bad. I mean, it's not top of the line, but I mean, for that, with the mount and all that, it was quite a deal. It's really good for recording routes. But anyway, getting back what I was talking about, you do have adventure bikes that you can get, and KTM makes a 390, which I was seriously looking at. Hello. That I was seriously looking at this KTM 390. I mean, it's got the traction control like the Husky. They're kind of the same company. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, but it weighs, you know, it weighs more. It kind of is like this. And I think this is a little bit more light and nimble. It's just more set up for dealing with, you know, off-road situations a little bit better, I think. So I got lucky with this, and here's my story. So I was actually I was watching Itchy Boots on YouTube, and she revealed her new bike, and I was getting ready to buy my bike, you know, and I was thinking about getting a Kawasaki, and I saw what she got, and so I thought, well, geez, let me just look on Cycle Trader, and there was one there, brand new, right down the road from me, and it just so happened people put money down to get them. You know, this was one that wasn't, you know, they decided not to get it because they got tired of waiting or whatever. So I immediately forked over the cash, and I got it. So I've been riding this, so it's now, you know, middle of May, a little more than the middle of May, almost June, but ever since January, and you know, I simply love this bike. Like I said, I'm not trying to win a race. I'm not trying to be the, you know, biggest motocrosser out there, do hardcore enduro, but some people set them up that way. I mean, every single bike is kind of like a kit. You know, you buy the basic setup, and then you go from there. Like, you can turn anything into anything. But I simply just wanted to go, you know, wanted to get the thing closest out of the box, what I wanted, and this checked off all the boxes, and I'm very happy with it. So anyway, that's my review, and I will continue on my journey.